Hello everybody, my name is Julia Bedell. Welcome to or back to the Be Here Today pod. I apologize for the hiatus that I've been on. I was feeling like I had a really good flow going for a while, and then I just had no topics that I felt like were good enough to speak about for a bit until now. Now I actually have a bunch of different ideas that came to me at like 2 a.m, and I just had to write them down in my notes app, but I'm feeling inspired again. So we are kickstarting this podcast once again. This podcast is kind of just here for me to document moments of my life and things that I'm going through, things on my mind that I just feel like inspired to talk about when they come up. So I think for a while there, I was convinced that I could hold a weekly posting schedule with podcast episodes, and I'm not sure how feasible that is right now, at least. It's a lot of me. It's a lot of me posting once on YouTube, posting once on my podcasting channel. So I think the pod is going to be more here for just when I'm feeling inspired or feel like there's something worth talking about. Today, we're going to be talking about how getting old is kind of scary. And if you are in your 20s or around your 20s, this is such a unique period of life where it actually comes with a lot of loss. I think just recently I really came to the realization of this through different things that have just been happening. So I don't fully have a direction for this podcast episode, but I did know that this was something that I wanted to talk about with you guys. Without further ado, let's get into it. I'm 23 years old and I'm going to be 24 this year. I graduated from college last year. And man, has it been a year. We've kind of already dug into this on my YouTube channel, on my podcast. Like, we don't need to get into more of my post-grad journey, but something that I have kind of noticed in this era of life that's so unique to it is it's a huge transitional phase. I would argue actually maybe one of the top 3 in your life. I just went down to Florida to visit my grandparents for my sister's spring break. That was in February, I believe. Maybe March. I'm forgetting. I think it was actually March. But anyways, I went down and I'm very lucky and grateful to still have 2 of my grandparents on the same side of the family still in my life. My other 2 grandparents from my dad's side of the family had passed away years ago, but I have always had a very, very close relationship with these grandparents on my mom's side. They almost feel like a second set of parents to me. And when I was down in Florida, it's not like anything bad happened, but I think I just had the realization, it really just registered to me that, my grandparents are old. Like, my papa just turned 90 last November, and they're doing great for their age. But it's also a reminder that people don't live forever. And I think that really registered for me when I was down in Florida. And I had just noticed that, aging does exist and nobody is immune to that. We also just had a family friend, a very close family friend of mine. Their grandmother just passed away. And she was also like a very important person to my family. And my heart, it hurts for her immediate family. And just like the loss of anyone is very hard. And I was talking to my best friend, Addie, and someone in her life had recently passed away as well. And one of her friends' parents passed away. I've just noticed, like, every time I look around, it seems like there is so much death. Like, I just feel like I'm in that era of life where we are losing that generation of people, the grandparents. And it's hard. It is very, very hard. And I had a whole crisis about this because I was like, oh my gosh, life is so finite. And what's even the point if we're just living to die? Another thing I was thinking about was that a lot of the times when people get to the end of their lives, it's not always like a peaceful going out. It's very sad to see the people you really care about go out in such a miserable way. And I know that that's not the case for everyone, but I know for a lot of elderly people who are just passing away from old age, I think everybody's ideal would be to just pass away in their sleep in their bed at home, peacefully, beside a loved one. But that's not the case. That's rarely the case. And it just breaks my heart almost a little bit to see these people almost like fighting until the end, getting exhausted, like worn down, tired. It's just very sad. And honestly, for a little bit there, I almost felt kind of depressed from it because I was like, what's the point of life? Like, what's the point of life if this is the closing on it? You know? And we're going to get to that because obviously there's so many beauties in life. And this was just kind of a low moment that I was sulking in for a bit. But yeah, it's very hard. And I think anyone can relate to this when I'm talking about losing family members or people that you care about. Another beautiful conversation that I was having with one of the girls that I was actually adopted with from China, she was basically saying that everybody in her life, friends included, they're all considered chosen family to her, which is so true because my parents are not my biological parents. My sister is not my biological sister, and neither are my grandparents or any of the people that I would call family. My best friend from college, obviously she's not biologically related to me, but I choose her. I choose all of these people as my family. And I think the gift of being able to choose who is in your life and who is important to you is so beautiful. And it almost creates even a stronger connection, in my opinion, because there's no obligation to have to get along with these people. There's no blood relation. I don't owe it to you. Like, I want you to be in my life. I choose for you to be in my life. And that in itself is a very beautiful sentiment. Another thing outside of just family members passing away or starting to notice that your parents are getting older, that's one thing that I've dealt with, honestly, a lot in the recent years because my parents are a bit on the older side for other people my age, like how old their parents are. My parents are 62. My dad's going to be 62 this summer. My mom's going to be 63 in December. And sometimes I almost get mad at the universe, which isn't fair. These are just the cards I was dealt. I would do anything for them to be 50. Like, because my sister and I are adopted and my parents' fertility process was a bit different from others, I just almost feel like I got robbed out of like 10 years, which is not the case. It's not the case. And to think that, it's ridiculous because technically I wasn't even alive 10 years before they adopted me. It just, in any logistical world, it just wouldn't have been realistic. But long story short is I just wish my parents were younger. And it stresses me out when I think about, oh my gosh, I'm only 23 and they're already 62. 70 feels like it's around the corner and 80 feels like it's so close. And it's also just hard, I think, to see and realize that your parents are also getting older. Like, in my happy little world, I want to just think that my parents are going to be around forever. And then I get them in my life forever. But that's just not the case. And my parents don't get their parents forever. That's just the circle of life. I didn't think I was going to get this worked up over this episode. Sorry, we really just bounced right into that. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm currently crying. Which isn't a big surprise because I cry about almost anything. But I just love my family so much. I love my people so much. And to see them getting older, like when I look back on like childhood photos and stuff, you obviously never really see the aging of a person until you look back, or at least that's how I feel. Like, I sometimes don't even realize how much older my grandparents have gotten or my parents have gotten until I look back on old photos from like 10 years ago and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're aging too. Like, it's not, and this sounds so stupid to say, but it's like sometimes I forget. And I'm just like, oh, we're just living our life together and this is just like the way that it is. But sometimes the reality of it sets in and the reality almost is a little bit too much for me to hold sometimes. I just don't want to accept the inevitable truth of it all. And I'm trying to not hyperfixate on that because what is that going to do? I was having a conversation with my best friend Addie the other day, basically having a whole cry sesh about this. I was just like, oh my gosh, like my parents are getting so much older, and like literally the thought of like one of my grandparents or one of my parents living without the other makes me sob. Like, I can't take it. It breaks my heart. And our family friend whose grandparent just passed away, her spouse is still alive, and oh my gosh, I can't. And then I just think about how many people, like, this is such a human experience. Like, this isn't unique to me, and that's why I wanted to speak on it, because I'm like, this isn't just a niche experience that I'm going through. Everyone goes through this, and it's unavoidable. Oh my gosh, sorry. I'm like literally crying over here. But yeah, I was having this conversation with my best friend Addie, and she was basically saying it is very stressful. It's very sad. It's hard in moments, but also it's life, and also stressing about it is not going to change the outcome. I can stress about an outcome for as long as I want. I could stress about it from today until that outcome inevitably happens. And all it's going to do is ruin the time I do have. I think there's another perspective to look at this from, which is like, time is so finite, which is why it's even more important to try to live in the moment. Enjoy your time with your people. Don't take anything for granted. Be grateful. Lead with gratitude. Enjoy even the simple, small things. Even when you get into fights with your parents, with your siblings, like, almost appreciate it in a way, because there's a beauty to it. It's petty arguments with family and siblings. It's all caused from a deeper love and just being able to bicker like that. Like, there's a beauty to it. And I'm really trying to be very intentional about my time with my family and just the people I love. I'm going to create a whole separate podcast episode on this, but so many of my friends, including my best friend, everyone seems to be moving to the West Coast. And that has been a really hard pill for me to swallow, because I'm just like, damn, I love my family, obviously. That's why I'm here. Like, I wouldn't want to leave my family. And my best friend Addie, she's from Oregon. Her family's over there. So it's just the way that the cards fell. Like, it's not anyone's fault. No one did anything wrong. There's not sides here. It's just, it is what it is. But that's been really hard for me too. But it's also made me be more intentional about the time that I do get with my friends, because I know it's finite. So I think my main point here is there's two ways that you can choose to look at, you know, the little bunny rabbit holding his clock and it's just ticking away. You can look at it in a panicky way of like, oh my gosh, I'm racing the clock. I don't have much time left. I'm freaking out. I don't know what to do. And then you end up ruining all the good moments that you get now because you're so stressed about the future. Or you can look at that clock and say, okay, I know I don't get this forever, but that's why I'm going to cherish it so much more when I do. The holidays, the sit-down dinners, the late-night talks. Sit in it. Enjoy it. And like, those are the things that I feel like when you get to the end of your life are what you cling on to. Those are the special moments that you think about. Not about how hard you were working in your 20s. Not about how many days you spent late in the office making money. Like, it's not about that. It's so not about that. And, you know, I never thought it was, but I think for a while there I was like, well, money doesn't buy happiness, but it surely buys comfort. And, you know, da-da-da-da-da. And obviously there's a line to that. Everyone wants to be financially free. I can make a whole separate episode about money, honestly, but we're not going to dive into that here. Another thing that I was talking about with my sister is this era of life isn't just like the loss of people. It's a transitional period where I feel like a lot of childhood traditions, pets, memories kind of feel like they're drifting and you're getting farther and farther away from them. For example, my childhood dog, Charlie. You guys, if you watched any of my YouTube videos, you probably would have seen him. He was the little Labradoodle with the cute little mohawk. He passed away about a year ago today. And that was a really hard pill to swallow because we had gotten that dog when I think I was 10. My sister was 6. We were children. That was our childhood dog. He was such a great dog as well, but along with him came so many memories from that period of our lives. And I'm grateful to say that I loved my childhood and I had such a good childhood. So it's like when these childhood pets pass away, it's like you're grieving the pet, but you're also grieving all of the memories and emotions that came with them when they were alive, if that makes sense. So it's like you're grieving two things at once. A while back, my family had invested in a little boat. We had taken this boat out in the water in Massachusetts. It was so much fun. And that was another thing that was tied to my childhood, my sister and my childhood. It was a huge part of it. We used to try to go out as frequently as possible in the summers. It was always just good vibes. We'd pack our sandwiches. We'd play good music. We would have the nice, cool air blowing in our face when we were sitting under the hot, beaming sun. It was so beautiful. And it would always just be, the boat symbolized like family time. Basically, it symbolized family time where we would all just take a day to go out with each other and be with each other. And my parents chose to sell the boat, which is fine. They're entitled to that decision. It's what they felt was best for them and the family. But my sister and I definitely felt kind of a way about it, not because the physical boat was gone. It just felt like a greater symbolism for our childhood, kind of just like slipping between our fingers. And it's a hard pill to swallow. It's a really, really hard pill to swallow. And it's like, sometimes when I look back, I feel like my whole life was a novel up until college, and then the novel closed. And that's just a completely separate book now. It's like I almost don't even recognize that I was in that book. It just feels like there has been such a lapse in time from when I was little to now. And there's a grieving element to that. And I think everyone experiences that. And I didn't know how to label it for the longest time. I was just like, ugh. Like, for example, I moved back home after I graduated from college, May of 2025. It's March of 2026 right now when I'm filming this. My teenage high school angst, like, kicked back up the second I moved back home. I felt like I was digressing. I felt like I was becoming this old version of myself. And it's so disorienting. I'm going to make a whole separate episode on living at home post-grad because I think it's so normal for so many people and not enough people talk about it. And there's a beautiful element of it, but it's also hard. It is hard feeling like you're digressing, feeling like you're moving backwards, like you're taking steps backwards. All right, my camera battery is like low-key gonna die soon, but we'll see how much longer she can kick for. But yeah, that honestly was the main thing that I wanted to talk about, was just the one identity loss. I think there's so many different losses that we are going through in our 20s, especially our early 20s. I think that that's even more pivotal than your late 20s. Your early 20s, it's like you go through an identity loss, you lose friends, not like that they're passing away, but maybe they're moving away, maybe they're not as close in proximity, maybe you drift from them, you're just not as close to them as you used to be, and you thought you would be close forever. You know, you're going through that loss. You may be losing family members. You're probably losing childhood pets and childhood traditions that just brought so much joy and happiness to you that now you feel like it's just gone, it's done, it's a thing of the past. So there's so much grief on so many different levels that happen when you're in your 20s. And I wanted to film this podcast episode because I know that everyone experiences this. I know that a handful of my content doesn't appeal to everyone, and it's not supposed to, but I know that what I'm saying right now, every single person listening to this can relate to. Because not one of us has been able to escape the inevitable fact of death. Not one person. Doesn't matter how much money you have, who you are, who you know. This is the one circumstance in life that nobody is exempt from. It's hard. I'm here to say that it's hard, and any hurt or sadness that you're feeling surrounding it is 100% valid. It's real. You need to let yourself sit in it, not just keep pushing it down. Ignoring problems, ignoring feelings, ignoring emotions is not going to do anything for you. You need to just sit with it, let yourself feel it, and try to reframe it in a way that's going to allow you to live in peace. I was going to say like happily ever after, but that's just wasn't the word I was looking for. I think everybody is looking for peace, even when we get to the end of our lives and we're dabbling with the idea of passing away soon. You just want to be at peace. You want your loved ones to be at peace. Like when I think about my grandparents alive and the ones who have passed away, I just hope they're at peace. I think that that's what we're all searching for in life, is like happiness and peace. I'm not coming on here to say that I have all the answers, because I don't. I'm coming on here to validate your feelings. Hopefully make at least one person listening to this feel less alone. And encourage you guys to really soak in every single moment of life. I know that's so cliche. I know everyone's always saying that. Live in the moment. No, but seriously, when you actually pull apart those words and you look at life from a very zoomed out lens, It's the truest thing ever. Even us, ourselves, listening to this, me speaking to you right now, we only have so many moments, seconds, minutes, hours, days, years on this planet. So, although you're going to have the moments where you're like pissed off, maybe you act irrationally and you're just like, I don't know, maybe not being the best person. It's all part of it. So, have grace with yourself, have grace with other people, be kind, and remember to love sometimes. That's all she wrote. That's really all I have for you guys today. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter podcast episode, but I'm not going to lie. I feel like I was spitting bars there for a little bit. I really liked the flow of that podcast episode. I just had a lot on my mind that I wanted to get off my chest and talk to you guys about. If you guys can relate to any of this, or maybe have some tidbit of information that could make somebody at home feel a little bit less alone, please comment it down below if you feel comfortable, because I think the beauty of social media, there's so many negative parts of social media, honestly, but one of the biggest strengths of social media is being able to create digital community and connect with other people and make them feel less alone. So that's exactly why I got on the internet today and cried and really just shared my true feelings about this subject. So if you feel like you have any sort of anecdote, way you look on life, something that could help someone, please comment it down below, because I love reading the comment section. I know other people do as well. And by you doing that, it'll actually encourage other people to bounce in as well. It's like you kind of start the trickle effect that allows people to start popcorning around. And yeah, one of my favorite things about social media is the community aspect of it. And I'm very grateful for you guys. So if you made it to this point in the podcast, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciated hanging out with you guys, being able to speak my mind, cry, really go through all the emotions in this episode. And I can't wait to film some more. I'll put all of my socials up on the screen right here. My Instagram and my TikTok are _Julia Bedell. My YouTube is Julia Bedell. And the rest of my stuff will all be linked to my Linktree. So if you're interested, you can go check me out over there. I'm very grateful that I got this time to be able to hang out with you guys. Thank you so much for choosing to be here today, and I'll be sure to see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.